Okay.
This is not us.
Yeah,
it's not our fault.
This time.
Not even.
Tom's sitting right across the table.
And
So
said he
it's
was
his
going to
fault.
behave.
Okay. So
Even Carol can't even
yeah,
get him to
and
behave.
you know what? I believed him. Silly me. This is our weekly dose. I'm Deborah.
I'm Lori. All right.
And that's right, and Carol. We're coming to you from Surrey.
Yes. All right.
Okay, so first up
Yeah.
is a fabric sale. We have our April fabric sale still on. And
So-
April ends very soon. So
Yeah. We
get
have
on that.
So there should be an email coming out. Carrie's working on that
Mm-hmm.
diligently. So there is the sale. So there's 30% off over 100 brand new fabrics.
Yes.
It's a minimum of 1 meter cut,
Yep.
but you're gonna like them anyway. So
Oh, they're
it's gonna be a
beautiful.
meter, 2 meters,
Yeah,
5
it's
meters.
Beautiful fabric. that's
And
coming,
there's
really.
lots of other new fabric to see. So
Yes.
there's a bunch of new fabric in. Some's on sale, some's not.
Yep.
But you know, just-
Some is. Just come and have a look because we have expanded our inventory on fabrics.
A
So
lot.
come on. Yes, we
A
have.
lot.
So come on in.
come check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Classes.
Yes.
So Saturday is Kimberbell
Kimberbell and Country Folk.
in
Chilliwack.
in Chilliwack. Next week is EMB and me. So come bring your embroidery machine. You know what? Even if you're not doing embroidery and you're sewing and you just want to hang out
To
with,
hang out, come on in.
Walk.
Or if you even just have want some help with understanding a pattern, like you're looking at something in the embroidery line or whatever, and you can't quite get what they mean. We've all
Yeah,
been
come
there.
on.
Hopefully, it's not just me.
There's some of
Um,
us, and
Come in. Lori will be here to walk you through it, help you, and in general, just give you a really good time because she's so fun.
that almost sounded sarcastic.
But I didn't mean it.
Did you mean the sarcasm or did you mean the...
No, I meant it. Okay. All
Okay,
right.
and then we have our surgery level 1 in May.
Level 3
Level 3, okay.
is next.
So you have to look at the
next
front
Wednesday.
and the back and the middle.
Yes,
Full
we've had
information.
the 1 and 2. Level 2, the surgery class is this evening at Country Folk. And next Wednesday is level 3. And we are hoping to have another set here in Surrey. It'll probably be towards the end of June, sometime in the summer.
Good. That'll be
Yeah.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be lots and lots of fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's back. Okay.
Yes. So,
So we have had some questions, and we get a lot of questions a lot of times on needles.
yes. Yes.
People coming in like, which ones do I need, this and that. And so Tom, I think he's probably forgotten more about needles than what I even remember.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
he is our expert on needles. So he's going to give us some information
Yeah.
on some needles. Now this is going to be like very small
Yes,
compared
it's
to
nothing like his needle talk at
Yes.
Notion Devotion and things like that, but it is a little glimpse of some of the ideas that you can keep in mind and some help.
Yeah.
Some
So
help on your needle.
I'm going to
So,
flip this around. I'm going to pull this way. Up close and personal. There we go. Yeah, we got
You're on.
we got Tom. All right.
So, basics of needles. Okay, so we're just going to talk about 3 types of needles to start. Universal needle, a ballpoint needle, and a stretch needle. Because stretch and ballpoint are actually totally different needles. A lot of people think they're the same. Okay, so the tip of your needle, everybody see that? It'd be easier if I used the bigger needle. Okay. The tip of your needle is what affects how it works with the fabric. Okay. Anybody who's wondering, this is a size 16/100 needle to scale. So everything you're seeing here is anatomically correct for a needle. Okay. The tip here, okay, let's start with universal needle. First of all, universal replaces the word sharp. So anybody who's been sewing for a long time is used to having sharp needles and ballpoint needles. Since the early days of needles, they've expanded, and now we have over 16 styles and tips of needles. Okay, so there is no such thing as one needle that does it all. So we've changed the word of sharp to universal. The word sharp is not correct, and the word universal is not correct, because it is not universal. Universal means it does everything for everywhere and everyone, and it does not. Sharp is not correct either, because it is not sharp at the tip. It actually has a small ball on the tip. The reason it has a small ball on the tip is because the needle is designed, if this is the weave of our fabric, it's designed when it comes down, if it hits on the weave, that small ball makes it deflect to the side and go through, so it doesn't damage our fabric. Okay, if it was sharp, actual sharp, it would just cut right through. Okay, and then it would be damaging our fabric basically every stitch that it did. So the idea is that it slides down the side of the weave and doesn't damage it. Sharp/universal needles are designed for woven fabric. It does not matter what the fabric is made out of, as long as it's woven. Woven means it doesn't have any stretch. So I don't have stretch this way, and I don't have stretch this way. You will always have a bit of stretch when you go in the bias, though. That's diagonally, for those who don't know that. Okay. As we've added more fabrics, we had ballpoint needles, and those were for knit fabrics. And when they talk about knit fabrics, they're referring to jersey knit. And that's a coarser knit like t-shirt knit. That is knit that pulls in two directions. Okay, so this is a jersey knit. I have stretch this way. I do not have stretch that way. Okay, that's what a ballpoint needle is for. It has a large ball on the end of the needle, as opposed to the universal needle, which has a small ball on the end. The reason it has a large ball is so that when it's coming down on that loose, airy weave on there, the ball is big enough to still deflect it to the side of the knit, but not so big that it will catch a hold and break it. Okay. As things progressed, they decided we needed to add fabrics like Lycra into our lives. Okay, and those types of fabrics use a stretch needle. A stretch needle has a medium-sized ball on it. The way to tell if you need a stretch needle or a ballpoint needle is, remember I said the jersey knits, they have two-way of stretch. No stretch this way, stretch that way. This is a four-way stretch fabric. It stretches this way and it stretches this way. So that tells me right there I need a stretch needle for it. Okay, so it will say stretch on it versus jersey or ballpoint. Okay, a lot of people think these are interchangeable, and they are not. Okay, so working with that ball system on the end of the tip of our needle, a ballpoint needle has a large ball, so big that it will make the needle deflect down the left or right hand side of the knit of the material and not break it. But that ball is so big that on a four-way stretch, it is such a tight knit on here, a ball is so big that it will not deflect and it will punch right through, creating a hole. If I use it on a weave, a woven fabric, it will also not deflect around the weave and it will punch right through, creating a hole. Okay, you'll know it's doing that because you hear a little snapping sound or a ticking sound, tick, 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 as you're going along, and you know right there you're hole punching your fabric as you put your seam in. Okay. Now, there is no magic bullet. Everybody always says, can I just pick one and it works for everything? And the answer is no. Okay, so a stretch needle with the medium ball works great on your tight knit four-way stretch fabrics. Okay, but the ball is too small to deflect around the knit on a jersey knit or a t-shirt type material. So it will cut right through, putting a hole in the fabric. But it is too big to deflect around the weave of a woven fabric. So it will hit the weave and punch right through, snapping holes, giving you that little tick, tick, tick sound. Okay. The ball on the universal needle is so small that although it allows the needle to hit the fibers on your woven fabric and deflect down the side, it is so small that it will not deflect through the airy knit of a 4-way stretch, and it will cut right through, and thus it will also not deflect around the really airy knit of a jersey knit 2-way stretch, and will cut right through, leaving holes in your fabric. Okay, so that's the damage that it will do. It will cut holes in your fabric. The other problem is they will skip stitches. When they skip stitches, it means you don't get secure seams. So you waste all of the time running through and making sure that you've got the seams in just the right place, only to lift it up and find that you have a couple skip stitches or a lot of skip stitches and only a couple of stitches that actually stood in place. Time is valuable. Yes, needles cost money, okay, but our time is more valuable than the cost of the needles. So what's easier, to have the right needle and do the job once, or to have the wrong needle and do the job a half a dozen times, trying to get enough stitches in to hold the seam together, but also not damage the fabric to the point that the seam won't hold once you finally get it in because of all the holes you've put in the fabric. Once was told, if you don't have time to do it right, what makes you think you're going to have time to do it again? Okay, and the one thing that we have in this life is time, and we trade it for things. To our employer for money, which we then give to other people so we can have goods to make our lives easier. Using the right needle makes your life easier. And that is the basics of needles for today.
Okay, I have a quick question
Yes.
because from an embroidery point of view, because it kind of goes with some of these things, especially the ballpoint.
Yep.
Okay, so there's the embroidery needle that you use for embroidery, but if you were embroidering on a t-shirt, would you switch it
Okay.
out?
So
for,
first of all, an embroidery needle is a universal tip with a highly polished eye. Back in the day when we started with embroidery, we all used rayon thread, which is a wood fiber, and it was very brittle and it broke very easy. So they came up with embroidery needles and they super polished the eye because the thread's going back and forth. If you marked any spot on your thread and counted how many times it went through the eye of the needle back and forth, from the first time it goes through to the last time it goes through and makes it in the stitch, it's 32 to 33 times. That's a lot of friction. Your embroidery needle, nowadays we're using polyester threads in our embroidery, and the rayon threads are so much stronger than they ever used to be. So unless you're using a decorative thread that's delicate, just use the needle that's appropriate for the fabric. As an example, back when I was a wee little tyke of 16 or 17, a friend of the family got one of the first embroidery machines, and she knew that I loved penguins. So she embroidered me on a t-shirt this cute penguin right here, okay? But she used an embroidery needle, which, as I stated earlier, is just a universal tip. Based on the earlier part of this quick little seminar, what happens when you use a universal needle on a jersey knit? It punches holes in it. I think I got about 4 washes out of the t-shirt before I had holes all the way around the side of the penguin. I had a very nice patch of a penguin, but holes in the t-shirt, so it was not wearable as anything but a work shirt. If she'd have used a ballpoint needle for that, she would have had troubles back then with the rayon thread, so she would have had to slow her machine down and take it very slowly and carefully, but that t-shirt would have maintained its integrity.
Yeah. We've run into that with embroidery classes and different things like that, thinking that an embroidery needle is a one-all for everything that you do, and it's
still designed with a universal tip, but there the change to the needle is about the polish in the eye, so how smooth it is in the eye for the thread going back and forth through it.
so the knowledge that you learn with embroidery or with needles is universal between both sewing and embroidery.
embroidery,
It's not a one-all needle and stuff.
And this works as well for sergers. Unless you have an older serger that uses industrial needle or a very special serger needle, the rule of thumb for sergers is use the same needle for the fabric that you would in your sewing machine.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
wow,
Tom.
Always. I don't know. Doing something
So-
about this needle person. Tom just waved goodbye.
So way back, I was surprised he didn't use my example. When I was started off with embroidery and we doing a couple of different samples, and I was so excited because I brought in this T-shirt that I embroidered on. It was really cute, and I showed it to Tom and Carrie and stuff because I used my embroidery needle and the stuff that I knew at that point.
Yes.
And I bring
Yeah.
it in, and they both looked at it, and they both sat there and said, "Did you change it out for a ballpoint?" Like, why would I do that? And yeah, and you could see all the little holes all the way around it.
Yeah.
And so it is a learning, and
It's like anything.
Yeah.
Though. There's always, and new things come out, new techniques, new tools to do the job with. And,
that we can, find
my
things.
my granddaughter asked me when I told her I was taking a class. I can't even remember what it was. And she says, "You need to take a class," because in her mind, I know everything to do with sewing. And I went, "Well, yeah, because there's always
Something we used to do,
something we can
like
learn.
even 5 years ago.
Has
There's a new
changed.
way of doing it
That's
and
right.
changing things up, making it a little bit easier.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a learning thing all the
just
time.
the last little thing about the needles. We were talking about like the different ones. The other thing you just need to keep in mind, and we'll kind of go over that next week a little bit, is you have to make sure you change out your needle every 5 to 8 hours. Because yes, needles, they're not as cheap as they used to be. They're gone up a little bit.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the quality of your work boils down to the needle that you're using.
Exactly.
Okay. If you're using a dull needle or anything else like that, if factor that in, like with every project, it's going to have a new needle.
Yes.
So that, and then once you've done and you changed it out, turf it, and then start your new project with a new
fresh
needle.
new
You
needle. Yeah.
They don't work out to be too much, but the flip side of it is, and what we're going to learn next week when we have our tech talk
Yes,
about
it's the
needles.
damage that can be done.
A damage that can be done, a $5 needle compared to a $100 plus
Service repair.
for your repairs.
It's one of the least expensive things you can do
Yeah.
to maintain your work and your machine.
So,
yeah.
because you don't want to spend all that time and have things fall apart. Like you said, they made that, got 3 or 4 washes and then it fell apart. She probably spent a lot of time and it was something she really wanted
Yeah.
to take and do. Whereas
Exactly.
that, just changing out that needle, how many
Makes a
times have
world
we,
of difference, yeah.
we spend hours and hours on hours on a quilt and then we use the wrong needle, the stitching isn't there, and then it starts falling apart at the seams and stuff. So match that.
Yes.
It's such a small
Give
little
it the
thing.
chance.
Give it a chance. So, all right. So I think
That
that's
is it for
this
today,
week.
for this week.
You're not in
and
here.
well, that's okay.
meet you.
They've seen me before.
They've
Most of y'all have seen me before. You've
We're-
even spoke to me on the phone.
Oh no, they're starting to come. We get people who are coming in.
Yes.
I
asking.
know you.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
pretty soon
I
we're gonna have
want to
to
every week.
start doing
So I'm glad to hear that. By the way.
signatures. We're gonna have to start doing autographs.
Yes, we're gonna get in our own makeup crew and hair and we're gonna be famous. So that's it for this week, and we'll be back at it next week.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you want to tune in every week,
Yeah.
but next week we got our tech talk
Another
coming
helpful
in.
tech talk. Yeah.
And just a side note. Okay, you know how last week we had the tech talk about cleaning
Yes.
out
Yep.
the thing? Scrolling through Facebook, and one of the sites I follow, a lady pops and she goes, "I'm not sure if I'm supposed to clean out my
Almost done. Okay. Yeah.
my what is it, the bobbin case,
Right.
the thing, and then that she took a picture of this. You couldn't even see the bobbin in there. There was so much fluff. She goes, "I didn't know I needed to clean it out." I was like, holy cow. And then that, so I was so tempted on there to put a link to our tech talk, and this is how you do it.
This is how you do it. Yeah. This is what you
Yeah,
want
don't let
to
it
do.
get,
So,
so, but Yeah,
Yeah.
it just.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, we do
Okay.
have some helpful tips
Yes,
every once
we
in a while.
do.
So
Okay.
join next week. We've got that, and we've got some really good stuff coming up.
Yes.
We've been planning.
okay.
All right.
Bye
Have
now.
a great week. Enjoy the liquid sunshine.
Yes, okay. It's Vancouver. It's the lower mainland. What do you want?
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone.